Today we're going to be talking about dealing with disruptive children. You know, probably in every group there's one child who tends to act out a little bit, and so we're going to think about some strategies to deal with those disruptive kids and in ways that still make them feel positive and uplifted. Disruptive kids often feel sort of uncomfortable and out of place in their own skin, and this can translate into that sort of disruptive or aggressive behavior. So we're going to give you 7 tips right now about how to best sort of shepherd and encourage those type of children. The first suggestion is that you need to assess potential problems and have a strategy to deal with it before it happens. It's really much better to be proactive rather than reactive in these situations. You may want to think about your seating arrangements or what children are sitting around, maybe this disruptive child. Maybe they have a hard time with transitions. Sort of think through the things that are trigger points for them and think about how you're going to deal with those situations when they come up. The second is expectations. You need to make it really clear in your, with your group what your expectations are of them and what expectations they can have of you, so that when one of those is breached, you can deal with it right away. The third tip is to make sure that kids know that you're really there for them, that you're there to help them, that you want to encourage them, that you want them to grow up to be the best person and the person that God really meant for them to be, and that you're on their side. And the number 4 tip is kind of related to that, and that is praise their accomplishments and efforts. Usually there's, you know, one thing every day that you can find positive going on with a child, especially with a child who's used to getting a lot of negative reinforcement. Having some positive could really be a game changer for them and help them turn their behavior around. Sort of on the flip side, minimize attention that you give to disruptive behavior. That's not to say that you're not going to deal with it, but you know, if you make a big deal out of every single thing, it's really going to turn the whole environment fairly negative. So if there are a few things that you know, you can minimize, that would be terrific. The next thing is immediacy, though. You need to deal with things right away and not let them fester and become a huge problem. Typically, those disruptive behaviors, if they're ignored completely, will tend to grow and will really take over sort of the environment in your classroom. So when something happens that's pretty serious, you need to address it right away. And finally, you may need to enlist the parents' help. If you've tried to deal with this child quite a bit on your own and just don't seem to be having any success, you may want to talk to mom and dad just to get some input from them. Really, what makes their child tick? What things do they love? What things are difficult for them? And just to let them know, too, that you're struggling a little bit. I don't think there's anything wrong in doing that. So there are some tips for dealing with disruptive kids. Just remember, God created everyone in a unique way, and you're just going to really try to look for the positive in each child, even as you're dealing with some challenging behavior. And that's your latest tip for raising kids in Christ.